So I was gonna start this video off by having 4 eyes, but then my mic decided, F you, I'm not gonna work no more. It's working now, in case you haven't noticed. I think it is working. If I end this video and my mic isn't working, I'm gonna kill myself. So guess who's still gonna live today? Unfortunately, it's me. And do not mind the clothes I'm wearing. I was preparing to go to bed, but it's getting very late. So wouldn't it... I stabbed myself in the eye. Wouldn't it be the perfect time to react to some scary videos? Anybody volunteer? Because I don't wanna. I'm scared. I'm a scared little dog. Female dog. I'm a scared little bitch. So, but that's enough said. Let's get straight into the video. It's cold. The first video we're gonna be watching is from Wansee Entertainment. It's called Roommate Horror Story, if you couldn't read. I'm just pointing that out for you. But let's see what the roommate is gonna do to our main character, or what is gonna happen.
I had a roommate named Michael.
Hi,
but
Michael.
One day, a strange rotten smell started to come from his room.
Okay, my man was eating some onions, Shrek style, and he had some nasty gas to pass. But there's no need to judge him like that. Some people just have very stinky farts.
So I told him, Michael, your room smells of something rotten. If you have a nose, you can smell it too, right? Then he shouted, I farted, okay? I can't help it. My booty hole stank. Those must have been rotten, and slammed the door. I was puzzled, not only because of the smell, but also because Michael's personality seems to have changed. One day at 3 in the morning, he shouted very loudly in his room, I'm going to fart again. If you say that it stinks, I'm moving out. Pay rent on your own. You are more beautiful than a goddess. I will do anything that you want me to. I didn't understand what he was doing, so I knocked on the door. Then he yelled inside, Don't bother me now, Steve. I didn't bother you when you were with your girlfriend. I was so confused. So one day, when he wasn't home, I decided to secretly open his room. I found the key and opened his door. His room was neat and tidy and nothing seemed out of place. But the moment I looked in the mirror, there was a woman standing behind me, staring at me. I was so surprised and looked around, but no one was there. Then I heard the woman's voice in my ear.
I came from your roommate's farts. Do you want to play with me?
Then, along with a rotten smell, I felt a hand running down my neck. Startled, I looked in the mirror again and saw a rotten skeleton beside me, touching me and whispering. I screamed and ran out of the room. I was so scared, but there was nothing I could do, and I couldn't hear anyone in the room. The next morning, when I opened the room again, there was no sign, and I didn't have the courage to look at the mirror. So I just shut the door. I was confused whether I was dreaming or seeing things. When Michael came back home later, I asked him what the hell was going on in the room. He pretended that he doesn't know anything at first, but eventually he began to tell the truth. What was shocking was that he had practiced necromancy one day out of curiosity, and a stunning female spirit appeared. So he didn't send her back and let her live in his room. I didn't believe him and told him not to lie, but when he took me to his room to show her to me, the room was obviously empty. But when he said, Cassandra, I suddenly heard someone walking in on the ceiling, and with the feeling of someone's hair touching my head, the room started to reek of something rotten. I couldn't even look up and ran out of the room screaming. Since then, her voice was heard from time to time in Michael's room.
Oh yes, Michael Hart. Oh yes, Michael, your farts smell so good. I'm sorry, everybody. I'll stop.
Kept thinking what I should do about this, but Michael seemed so happy, and I thought there would be no harm to me since it was what happened in their room.
Finally, somebody who appreciates my farts.
But one thing that gave me goosebumps was what Michael always said by habit. "I will become one with you, Cassandra!" He started to lock himself in his room, not coming out for days, and I started to become worried about him. Then one day, he hadn't been out of the room for so long that I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. I eventually opened his door and I was startled. He was lying on the bed and his body had swelled twice as large, as if there was something inside him. I screamed and called the police. When the police arrived and checked, he was already dead and his body was filled with black liquid.
I was about to say, before they said black liquor, I was like, don't worry, my guy needs to lay on his stomach and get that gas out. But black liquid, I cannot explain. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm not a doctor.
As a result of the autopsy, the liquid inside his body was found to be rotten blood, but no evidence was found of whose blood it was or where it came from. After Michael's death, I was lost in grief. Recently, I started dating someone new and stayed with her at my house. But the strange thing was that she kept saying this to me these days.
I want to become one with you.
Then she clung to me and hugged me tight. I suddenly got goosebumps and pushed her away, but she kept coming over to me, repeating the same words over and over again. I indulged in her moderation, but as time passed, it got worse. Now she holds me tight and keeps telling me that she wants to be with me for 24 hours so that we can become one. What should I do now?
So what I would do in this situation, as I've mentioned a lot of videos ago, there's this beautiful creation called the power washer. This is why you have to invest in this beautiful invention called the power washer. You just blow that bitch off of your porch. This power washer into Bob's yard. Bob's problem now. You power washer out of the window. Or call an exorcist. Either way, it works. Not like I would know, but like, it seems like a reasonable explanation. The next story is also from Wansee Entertainment, since his animations are so good and his stories are top tier. Let's get straight into the video.
Hi, I'm Jin.
Hi, Jin.
And I wanted to share this experience with you. Back when I was 6 or 7 years old, I used to not believe in ghosts or anything considered paranormal because of my mom's influence that these are just hoaxes. But that changed when we went on vacation for the very first time to my mother's hometown. It's a province. There are a lot of trees, crops, and farms. On our way there, when we got on our second ride, which is an open window bus, there was this man who was sitting behind our seat. He looked around 50 to 60 years old, and he had a cane with him. Once he had sat down, I looked at him, and he smiled at me. My mother was asleep at that time. The man gave me a candy.
Hello everybody, it's your old friend Phoebe here to give you some advice. So if a strange man or woman gives you candy, you do not eat it. Even if the person looks so nice, you do not eat candy from strangers or trust strangers in general. You don't know what they're up to. Okay? Especially candy, you don't know what it's laced with. They could have rubbed it around in poopy. Okay? It could be poopy colored. Even if you wash it off, the poopy would not come off. Did I say colored? I meant covered. I cannot speak, I'm too focused on poopy.
And as a 7-year-old kid, I took the candy and ate it. When we arrived at our destination, I said goodbye to the man, and he smiled again. Fast forward to nighttime, when we were sleeping. At around 3 to 4 a.m., I felt sick in my tummy, so I got up. And because the bathroom was outside the house, I felt scared. But none of the people in the house were awake, and I didn't want to wake them up because they were tired from the trip. I gathered all my courage and went out to the bathroom, which is at least 10 steps from the house. Though it wasn't very far, it was just really scary. It was cold, and when I got in the bathroom, I threw up, and it was green, the same color as the candy that the man gave me. Once I was done and flushed the toilet, I looked on my side and there was someone looking at me, and the person was just smiling. Then it hit me that the person was the man who sat behind us on the bus. I got more scared when he started to call me by my name, so I ran back to the house. I woke up my mom and told her what happened. She first thought it's just because I was dreaming, because there was no way someone could have been there due to the way that the bathroom is built. The bathroom was at the edge of the land it was built on. There was only at least 4 or 5 inches on the side, so that means that the window was put there so no one could take a peek while someone's using it. My mother got out and went to the bathroom with me to reassure me that there was nothing wrong, till she saw the fingerprints on the window. She immediately called my father to check around, but he saw no one. The dogs, too, didn't even make a sound. The next morning, my mom was cleaning up and was putting up her family's pictures. One particular photo caught my eye, and it was the man who sat on the bus with us, who gave me candy, and the one who I saw on the bathroom window. I asked my mother who it was.
I should have known it's Uncle Jeffrey. He was a little bit of a freak, but he was obsessed with his poopy candy.
And she said that it was her grandfather who had died.
Wait, important announcement. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, that's it.
Years earlier, before I was born. I didn't tell her about what I thought because it gave me the creeps. I never truly understood what had happened that day, but I remember it like it was yesterday.
Okay, so what did we learn from this story, kids? Do not take candy from strangers or any type of food or drinks. Don't accept any gifts from strangers. It could be a teddy bear. Okay, imagine this. Little Annabelle took a teddy bear home from a stranger. And that night, she slept with the teddy bear. Little did she know, he sprayed poop spray on the teddy bear. And then she got really, really sick. And her mommy didn't know why. Okay, so we don't accept anything from strangers. That's what old pal Phoebe is teaching you today. The next story is also from Wansee Entertainment on Top God tier. It's called Short Tall Girl. 5'2" tall girl.
Yesterday, a 5th missing person has been filed in Vilsame. The 5th missing person, Ella, was also a 5'2" tall girl. This has proved that speculation that the kidnapper only targets females who are exactly 5'2" tall is true.
How do you think he locates his targets? Does he just walk around with some measuring tape measuring every single girl who comes across him and then just pastes a sticky note on their back so they can find them later in his white truck selling candy or teddy bears?
Families of the victims are enduring hellish days as no missing person has been found yet. The photos shown on the screen now are the missing persons.
Okay, so it's Grace, Ava, Brianna, Chloe, and Jessica. We learned not to get any type of bang or be 5'2", because then you're a target.
If you have witnessed them, please file a report by calling the number below.
There has already been a 5th disappearance in our neighborhood. The kidnapper seems to be the same person.
Oh no, she's a victim. She has the combination of both. She has the bangs swooped to the side and a bob cut. I'm sorry, Mom, but your child's gonna be gone.
This is because all 5 victims were girls exactly 5'2" tall. The police speculated that the kidnapper was a pervert obsessed with the figure 5'2".
Imagine, to prevent your child getting stolen, all the parents, put stilts in their children's shoes or, made them wear heels or just, wear wigs so they don't have the bob cut or the bangs.
Investigations continued on the serial disappearance cases that lasted for several months, but the whereabouts of the missing persons were unknown, and there was no one who witnessed a kidnapping taking place. Rather, the village was quiet and peaceful.
Kaylee, come home right after school.
You must never walk around alone. If you need me, call me anytime and I'll pick you up. My mother, who was watching the news beside me, said with a worried face, Mom, don't worry too much. I'm 5'3" tall. Don't say that. You should always be careful. All 5 missing people were exactly 5'2", as if they were measured with a ruler.
Okay, smartass. How do you know you're 5'3"? How do you know you didn't shrink? I don't know why she's acting like this. Just be careful. Your mother is worried. Now you're standing there like, I'm 5'3". I won't get kidnapped.
So don't worry too much, and I'll be careful too. I said calmly to reassure my mother, but I was scared as well. 2 days later, I was walking with my friends on my way home from school, and many police cars and ambulances were parked at the entrance to the village's forest, and people were carrying dead bodies covered with white cloth on stretchers. The bodies of the missing victims were found buried here and there in the forest. The bodies of 4 people were already decomposed and turned into white bones, and the search team was surprised when they found Ella's body, who disappeared 3 days ago and had not yet decomposed. This was because the body did not have a single piece of skin left. The police judged that the culprit was likely to be a butcher who professionally trimmed meat based on the elaborately peeled skin off the body. So, the butchers living in the village were investigated, but the investigation was at a standstill because no
Did you kill this girl? I'm a police officer. No.
evidence was found. As the investigation intensified, as if the culprit became more cautious, no more victims occurred, and several months passed. The incident settled down, but 5'2" tall females never went out alone, and there were even families moving to other neighborhoods to protect their daughters. A few days later, on my way home from school, after parting with my friends, a woman came out of her yard and greeted me.
Hi, do you live here? I'm Luna and I live here.
Hello, I'm Kaylee. I live in this town too. Nice to meet you.
Kaylee, it's so dangerous these days because of the serial killings. Would it be okay if you wander around alone like this?
I'm scared, but I'm 5'3" tall, so I just roam around thinking it's going to be okay.
But you have to be careful. I have a daughter named Mia and I'm worried a lot these days.
Luna said, pointing her finger at the window on the second floor of her house. She said,
That's Mia's room. She's 5 feet 2 inches tall, so I don't let her go out at all. In fact, she saw you pass by through her window and begged me to play with you, so I came out to ask you to play with her.
I looked at the window on the second floor at which Luna was pointing, and there was a girl standing by the window, looking down at where I was. Does Mia know me?
Yeah, it's been a long time since she hasn't gone out, so it's her daily routine to look out the window, but I guess she wanted to be friends with you who passes by every day. Would you like to play with Mia today? I've also baked a delicious apple pie.
Yes, I'd like to. I followed Luna into the house. Her house had a charming interior with floral wallpaper and pretty props, and there was a wooden table in the middle of the living room. Luna seemed to be working on sewing until now, as on a mint-colored sewing machine, there was a dress that was half-laced. Luna smiled when she saw me looking at the sewing machine and said,
I was just making Mia's dress. I make my daughter's dresses on my own.
The dress is so pretty.
If you become friends with Mia, I'll make yours too. Come on, follow me to the second floor.
Luna went to the second floor and knocked on Mia's door.
Mia, I've brought you a friend.
When she opened the door, there was Mia sitting on her bed, shaking her hand without saying a word. Her head bowed as she was shy. I smiled brightly and introduced myself to Mia, who was wearing a bucket hat and a black dress. Hello, Mia. I'm Kaylee.
What happened to Mia's face? She looks stitched together. Like her mother wasn't just using the sewing machine for dresses, but rather on her daughter's face. And why is there so much blood everywhere? I kind of had the assumption when they went into the house, this is how they lure people in. And she's not shy, she feels bad. That's like the kind of the assumption I had. Am I predicting it? We'll never know.
I came by because you wanted to be friends with me. Then Mia answered in a small voice.
Hello, Kaylee. Thanks for coming to my room.
Then Luna happily looked at us and said,
Oh, you two have fun. Mommy will bring you girls apple pie.
As Luna went down the stairs, Mia asked me,
Kaylee, aren't you afraid of the outer world?
I'm scared, but I'm 5'3" tall, so I just walk around bravely. Mia, I've heard you're 5'2" tall. Since you can't go out alone, I think it would be frustrating. Then Mia put her arm across mine and took me to a large mirror in the room and said,
I'm 5'3" tall now too. That's why I haven't had clothes that fit me lately.
Just as she said, Mia and I standing side by side in front of the mirror were the same height. However, when I looked closely at Mia's face and body, something was strange. She was so grotesque, as she had skin sewn here and there, like a stuffed toy. I couldn't ask her directly about it because I might hurt Mia's feelings, so I just glanced at her. Mia's face was twisted as well, with her skin sewn together as if it had been patched up. Only then did I realize that Mia was no ordinary person. Mia looked at our reflection in the mirror and said with a satisfied smile,
Kaylee, I like you so much. It's apple pie time. I'll bring Mom.
Mia went downstairs to get the apple pie, and I had a foreboding feeling about Mia's eccentric appearance. So I sneaked around her room while she was away. I was surprised when I opened Mia's closet. Strange leathers were hanging on 4 hangers, and when I took one of them out and spread it on the floor, it looked as if a human skin had been peeled off. The arms, legs, and torso were cut so that it could be worn like a suit, and a mask with the face and hair of a person's scalp had been peeled off, was also hung in her closet. Ah! What is this? I was startled, and I hurled the unknown leather, thinking I should get out of this creepy house quickly. As I hurried out of Mia's room and went down the stairs, I heard Mia and Luna's voice from downstairs.
She's the same height as me. She has a pretty face, so I like her. Hurry up and make me new clothes made out of Kaylee.
There weren't any clothes for you to wear because you grew up, but this is good news. Mommy will make you a pretty one this time as well.
I saw the mother and daughter walking upstairs through the cracks of the stairs. Luna had a large plastic bag and a sharp kitchen knife in her hand, and Mia, who was behind her, had cutting scissors in her hand. I was startled and went back into the room and locked the door. After a while, the mother and daughter found that the door was locked and started knocking on the door.
Kaylee? Kaylee? Open the door. I brought some apple pie.
I kept my mouth shut in fear. Then I heard Mia's voice saying,
Kaylee, what are you doing? Let's play. Open the door.
When I didn't say anything, Luna said to Mia,
Mommy will bring the keys.
I hurriedly looked around the room and found that the only way to escape was to jump out the window. When I opened the window and looked down, it was too high for me to jump out. Suddenly, the door burst open and Mia jumped in and pulled me by the waist. As I writhed myself, Luna swung a kitchen knife from behind and I collapsed on the spot. Ah! Seeing me bleeding from a huge back wound and suffering in pain, Mia hollered with a mad expression.
What are you doing? You cut my new clothes! Are you crazy?
Mia screamed for a while and sat down sobbing.
It's because of you, Mom! You ruined it all! Now I have no more clothes to wear! Look at this! My feet are sticking out because my clothes are too short!
Mia's ankle protruded from under the leather on the sole of her foot. There was another foot, and the red skin with dead skin cells and cracks all over was so disgusting that it could not be considered human skin. Luna said, comforting Mia.
Oh, it's all Mommy's fault. I was in a hurry thinking she'd jump out the window. Sorry, Mia.
Now what? There are so many cops that I can't even get new clothes anymore.
Then Luna looked down at me, pondering, and then said to Mia,
Mia, I've got an idea. Why don't we wait until the wound is healed and then skin her?
Mia's face immediately brightened and she grinned. The mother and daughter taped my wrists and ankles and each carried my legs and torso and went down to the basement. Lights in the basement, I saw a neatly organized cutting room with bright white lights. On the large work table, a belt was installed to bind limbs, and surgical tools and cutting supplies were placed on the table. They laid me down on the work table, brought antiseptic and bandages, and started treating my wound. That's how I was locked in the cutting room until the wound healed and their treatment to obtain my leather began. The mother and daughter brought soup, bread, and water and fed me, applied medicine to the wounds frequently, and tied my limbs to the work table during the rest of the time.
Look at this, Kaylee. You've become so famous.
The devil, like Mia, would often show me news by holding her tablet PC in front of my eyes. On the news, with an exasperated voice, the anchorman was saying that a sixth missing person had occurred, along with my picture, which was followed by my mother crying out for help to find me. When I saw my mother on the news, I burst into tears and begged Mia to get me out of here, but there was no use. As time passed, scabs formed on the deep wounds and new flesh began to come out. The fact that the new flesh was coming out meant that my death was not far away. Mia looked at my wound on my back and smiled broadly.
Mom, the scab is about to fall off. The new skin is coming out. I think I can make new clothes now.
Yes, that's true. I guess I have to start cutting. Mia, could you take off your clothes and lie down?
Mia took off her black dress and then started taking off her suit made of human leather as well. Then the cracked red skin she had hidden under the suit, the shape of her eyes, nose, and mouth, which were unrecognizable, were revealed. Then Mia lied on top of me, and Luna took her measuring tape and began taking her measurements. I shouted for my life while being crushed by Mia, but they seemed to think of me as nothing more than leather for tailor-made clothes. Then I heard the doorbell outside. Luna tilted her head in bewilderment and said to Mia,
There's no one who'd come home. Just keep an eye on Kaylee so she doesn't scream.
She hurried out to the front door, and Mia whispered as she thrust a sharp cutting shear into my neck.
Shh. Kaylee, be quiet or I'll stab you ruthlessly in the neck with this thing.
I knew very well that Mia could never hurt my body. Help me! When I cried out, Mia startled, clamped my mouth shut, and I bit her fingers as hard as I could. I screamed once more when she collapsed, grasping her fingers. Help me! There's someone in the basement! Shortly after, the cutting room door burst open and the police rushed in.
Kaylee?
Yes, it's me! The police freed me and helped my way out, but Mia, who had fallen on the floor, rushed at the police with cutting scissors and swung at them. She shouted,
Don't take my clothes! No, I don't have any clothes I can wear!
Surprised, the police shot her, and Mia collapsed and died on the spot. Then, Luna, who was being held by the police outside, screamed,
Mia! My baby! What did you guys do to my daughter?
Leaving behind Luna's outcry, I got out of the hellish house, got into the ambulance, and was able to meet my parents again at the hospital.
A long series of murders came to an end when a sixth missing person was dramatically rescued from the perpetrator's house. The killer's name is Luna, a middle-aged woman who has worked as a tailor all her life. It turned out that she lured girls of the same size into her house, murdered them, and skinned them into suits for her daughter who had a rare skin disease.
Well, that was certainly interesting to say the least. I have no commentary on that, except what the actual... That is all I can say, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, it's free, and you can always change your mind later. And I will see you next time. Bye!